and he said again the love he had for her. So it is a young person that has the ability to love completely. You have the ability to love with all your strength. And there is nothing a young person cannot do to get love. You do it at one cost. So we have the strength to actually do what we want to do. So obeying the call is like, I have the strength to do this call. I have the strength to carry out this task. Then as a youth, I should go for it.
Next question: how can they obey this call? And what is this call? And how can they? Let me start with you.
Okay. So when we are talking about calling the when obeying the call as of the church, you know that you have as the youth, just like we said earlier on, we have the time, you have the energy, you have the strength to push whatever you do. So you just have to be available. You have to be available. Availability is key when you are picking up the call. Just like we have been mandated by the scriptures that we need to pick up the call, we need to reach out because now and is what people read in us as Christian is our acts and how we do things. It's not, but nobody reads the Bible really. It's when if you are trying to convince people, I'm not saying that Christian really, I'm saying like if you are trying to convince new people to actually be Christian, they won't read the Bible. They will first see it in you before then it is then that they can be convinced that by your act and by whatever you do. So if you are not um, acting right, if you are not speeding up your game to actually be in key position in the church, it will be difficult for you to be able to convince the people to be Christ-like, to be born again. They have to see it in you, and how do they see it in you? Is by you first obeying the call.
They said one of our missions
Yeah.
in the youth fellowship is to propagate the gospel. Okay, using outside evangelism. Let's talk about outside. A lot of people don't engage in outside evangelism, and even when there is a call for outside evangelism, like out evangelism, you hardly see youths there. It's not the youths that will dominate that particular evangelism. You mostly see all these women, fathers, mothers, kids. You will not. Why is that?
Yeah, that would take us to understanding the 21st century. Because of a truth, it's a concern. Because when you look at, even when you call for Bible study, how many youths do we see? When we call for praise night, then the entire hall is filled up. So this is actually an issue that we need to talk about. Our own salvation experience. Are we truly saved? Because it takes a person that is saved to actually go out to save others. So we look at the salvation experience. A lot of times I tell people that youth fellowship activity is not about just praise night today, drama night tomorrow. These are the places we see people anywhere there is jamboree. But when we call for Bible study, we call for prayer meeting. Bible study is still fair. When you call for prayer meeting, maybe those who that organize the event. So we need to look at first we must save the youth. We must start internally before we can now go out for the salvation of others. We must save ourselves. So it's not just coming to church and gathering for everybody that makes us saved. It's the fact that we believe for us and we
Break. Before we went on that break, we were talking about obeying the call now that there is strength. And the guests I have with me today, they've shed more light on that part where they said the mission of youth, one of our mission is to propagate the gospel, and there are different ways. And before you can even propagate the gospel, you have to first be saved before you can save others. You can't give what you don't have. Moving on, we'll move to the next segment of this program where we'll be talking about the Methodist Youth Fellowship, a platform for opportunities. And I have some areas of development listed out here, in which we'll be talking about. I'll be asking and we'll be throwing more light on that aspect. We're starting with the area of leadership. How has the Methodist Youth Fellowship helped youths to become great leaders?
Well, let me from my own experience. I think I started as a local church officer, and then I stopped at the then joined MCF. I think it was when I got to MCF, and then I saw the zeal that people were serving. How come one person is in technical units in Bible study, and then almost every day even for, and the academics is not suffering? Why is happening actually? So I joined MCF, and then I now feel wow, people at home can actually benefit from this. How did the fire from campus to youth fellowship? That was my drive. How do we take it home? I joined, I got home, them, then we started moving. In fact, for let me say for like 3 years, I was not an executive, and I was the one driving the circuit. I was sharing with my people at the Cathedral of Living Spring on Tuesday that you don't have to be an officer before you serve. So if I could a circuit even before becoming the secretary and president for 3 years